You guys heard about it, but you probably learned it from the Post. Mike Brown is expected to hire a new associate head coach. That means Rick Brunson will take on a lesser role. So Jonathan Macri of Knicks Film School is on to try and convince me if this is the right decision or not. J-Mac, what's happening? The star player of the franchise just happens to be my son, but I get a demotion. So tell me why this is going to be the right or wrong thing. In terms of basketball X's and O's and overall continuity, not just the optics or perceptions, is this a good move by Mike Brown and staff or no?
Well, I mean, to use an analogy, it's not like Rick Brunson's going from like the manager to like the fry cook, or even well, I don't know what's below fry cook in a kitchen. He's
Sous
going
chef.
from like the manager to the assistant manager. It is a demotion, and I understand where you're coming from because obviously he's Jalen Brunson's son, but I think part of the issue here is like you said X's and O's. We have no idea what Rick Brunson's X's and O's are because of like individually because it's just he's been under Tibbs for so long. So I could only assume that his X's and O's beliefs are the same as Tom Thibodeau's X's and O's beliefs. And I think the organization pretty clearly, let its opinion on where, what those were when they let Tom Thibodeau go. As far as the continuity piece of it, I think the important part is that Rick Brunson is staying on, along with reportedly several other members of the staff. So it's not like you're doing a full changeover, which I think for a veteran club, some of whom have been together for a few years, Brunson, Josh Hart, Deuce McBride, Mitchell Robinson. I think it's good that you didn't do a full turnover. But in that story, it was reported that Rick Brunson is like, I don't think he has a huge problem with this. And I think everybody would agree maybe this is for the best.
The dad in me, and your dad as well, the dad in me wouldn't have a problem with it because I get to stay with my son. But the professional in me would have an absolute problem taking a demotion. Sources out there are saying that having him as the top assistant is a bad look for the franchise. So come on, man, be frank with me. Let's be 100. Since Rick took over as top assistant after Johnny Bryant left for Cleveland, have you or any of the fan base looked at him as some sort of distraction or conflict of interest?
So up until this season, the answer was definitely no. And in fact, when Jalen Brunson signed the extension, a very below market deal last summer, I think universally in the fan base, they were like, listen, if you want to build a statue to Rick Brunson, have at it as long as Jalen Brunson doesn't go anywhere, because we have been so starved for a leader, the likes of which we have now with Jalen Brunson for so long. Now, this season, you had the incident in the preseason with Dante DiVincenzo chirping a little bit back and forth. And then towards the end of the year, you had some reporting that maybe certain players thought that Rick Brunson's role was a little bit too big. I think for me, looking at, a team last year that I suspected all along, maybe, the locker room wasn't as good as it could be. And I wonder if it's a coincidence that Mike Brown in his introductory press conference talked about things like trust and selflessness and cohesion and all concepts that I think a lot of fans suspected was missing from this group last year. So I, again, didn't have a huge problem with it. But again, focusing on the present and the future, I think this is probably the move that is in the best interest of everybody involved.
When it comes to those players in that report, Rick Brunson doesn't make you or not make you hit jump shots in practice. That's on you to fight for more minutes. So that's one of those things where I feel like, as a former player, not NBA player, a lot of guys get upset when they're not getting playing time and they point fingers, but they hardly look within. It's like, all right, I dropped that pass or I had this missed assignment. These are more the reasons why I'm not playing as opposed to just pointing the finger at a coach. So I kind of take those reports when it comes to those players with a grain of salt. So as we kind of look forward to who's going to be that next guy, it's been reported by our guy Ian Begley of SNY that Pelicans associate head coach James Borrego, who we all know as a Knicks target for that lead spot on Mike Brown's staff, is going to be staying in New Orleans. There any names out there that you and the fan base likes that you guys think Mike Brown should make his top assistant?
Yeah, I mean, I think it's tough because, again, similar thing with Rick Brunson. These guys don't have a track record. Most of the associate or assistant head coaches out there. One guy that I have my eye on, and I'm going to lean on the reporting of my buddy Mark Stein, who does great work with the Stein line on Substack, is Darvin Ham. So Darvin Ham, fans probably most recently remember his stint with the Lakers, which, didn't go terribly, but also, didn't blow anybody away. But Darvin Ham, for like close to a decade before he got the head job with the Lakers, was one of the more highly thought of assistant coaches in the league. The reason why I like the partnership with Mike Brown, a couple of reasons. For one, he was actually already an assistant under Mike Brown when Mike Brown was the head coach of the Lakers a little bit more than a decade ago. And if you go back even further than that, Darvin Ham actually played for a season when Mike Brown was an assistant head coach or assistant coach, with the Washington franchise way back early in his career and like in the middle of Darvin Ham's career. So those guys have a good connection. Again, Darvin Ham maybe wasn't fit to be a head coach in the league, but I think everybody has thought very highly of him as a basketball mind. So maybe bring him in, and who knows, maybe he gets that associate head coach job that they wanted Borrego for, but unfortunately couldn't get him.
I like that because, my football background, the quickest path to becoming a head coach or re-becoming a head coach, I don't know if that's a word or not, is being one of the top coordinators or one of the top assistants on a championship-like team. Knicks go and win a championship with Darvin Ham as the top assistant, then that is an easier pathway for him to get a head coaching job again. J-Mac, appreciate you hopping on with us, my man.
Appreciate you calling on me as always.